Sorry, I got way too wrapped up in the music.
I'm still over here sharing.
I just got done, but I was like, oh, let me look up. Sorry. There we go. Yeah, I was like, it kicked it up a notch.
It takes a minute to share.
Yeah, it does. It does. Like, I literally just got done and I saw, uh-oh. I have my volume on. Hold on. We don't want that to happen. Yeah, Mac will be with us shortly. He's we're gonna kick it off. So I know we had some people waiting too. So hello everyone. I see we got Melly Mel. Hi from South Carolina. Big win for us this week. Yeah, South Carolina rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all have some great reps there. They care about their people. Mac Attack. Yeah. And hey, Kathy. Hey. How's everybody doing? Oh, Cody says they won't be able to watch live, but looking forward to watching this later. Yeah, if y'all miss any of this, you can definitely check out like the replay. It'll be there.
Replay the recap.
Replay the recap. Oh man, yeah, it's been a week. It's been a hell of a week. But we got Tennessee passed the Senate, so it's on the way. Matthew Davenport's law is on the way to the governor's desk to be signed into law, and which will go into effect July the 1st, 2026. Possession of kratom will be Class A misdemeanor, and selling or distributing will be a Class C felony. Class B felony if you sell it to minors. So, if you're watching this, get a hold of that Governor Lee and see if he'll veto it. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just saying realistically. Hey, Mac's already here.
There.
What's up, Mac?
Hey, same-o.
I know that's right.
One battle after another.
Yep. So y'all welcome Mr. Mac Haddo to another episode of Recap with Mac, where we do a weekend review for April 13th through April 17th. So give us the lowdown, Mac. It's been a tough week.
Yeah.
Yes, but a mixed bag in this sense. The Kentucky governor has now extended the enactment date of the ban on kratom to next year, June of 2017, which gives us an entire legislative session.
2027.
Yes, 2027. To go back and do what should have been done, which is to have hearings and to receive testimony and actually evaluate whether it's a good policy to repeal the existing KCPA, and it'll allow us to evaluate how.
Is that me?
No, did he get stuck?
I thought that was me.
Look how he looks stuck.
Hold on, what's happening?
I think his Wi-Fi messed up.
Dude, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that he's like, and it's right in the middle of some great news.
I know.
Well, you know what? I know how he feels because my Wi-Fi is up all the time.
It looks like he's about to yell at somebody.
Never mind. I'm not going to say.
Oh, man. He was telling us some good news about Kentucky. What Kentucky's doing is what Tennessee should have done. Right. Yeah, you got stuck, Mac.
Well, I think it's the 7OH people.
They done hacked into us.
I know.
Exactly.
They're like, you ain't going live today while I'm going live.
Exactly. So I don't know how much you heard, but the Kentucky governor did give us that reprieve to allow for hearings and for testimony to be received, and for us to find a way that will strengthen the KCPA so that it addresses some of the concerns of the people that may have supported this ban. But to be clear, this was advocated for to the Senate president by a group that is funded by the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy. It's a harm reduction group. They are completely off base, because what they're doing is, we're seeing this over and over. You get, some addiction recovery center, they come in and say, oh, we're seeing a spike in these kratom-related, admissions. But here's the truth of it, and we all know this, is that you're seeing that spike that correlates with 7OH availability. Yep. That's one thing. There is also a natural increase that's going to occur of people that are not responsibly using kratom products because of the growth in popularity. So the combination of those two things then falls on the so-called reports. And the key is, what is the treatment methodology? Because if you're a kratom consumer, and let's say you've abused kratom, or let's say that you have taken a product that is inappropriately spiked, not with 7OH, with metrogenine at a higher concentration level than you can achieve with an extract that is using industrial solvents. And so you're going to have a problem. There's no question. But the intervention for a kratom consumer that becomes dependent on it, fears that they're having, little trouble getting off of the kratom, or has been advised by somebody to go to an addiction recovery center, there's that. But behind all of this, the other part of it is 7OH is an opioid, so treat it like an opioid, because that's the appropriate treatment protocol. But behind all of this is one of the largest addiction recovery center companies in the country. And they're now adopting this messaging saying, oh, kratom consumers are becoming addicted, and we have to administer Narcan, and we have to do all these very sophisticated replacement therapies with Suboxone. This is propaganda, and it's all designed to enhance their bottom lines. And so that's a new front that we're going to have to address and deal with as we go forward. But great news out of Kentucky.
Yeah, that's amazing news.
Yeah. That's what Tennessee should have done.
Well, yeah. Tennessee's not done. Tennessee is not done. We're still in the battle, because the bill has been sent to the governor, or it will be if it hasn't officially been received by the governor. We've had conversations, the same as we've done in Kansas, in Kentucky. I'll get to Kansas in a minute, with Kentucky. And we think that it is the right thing for the governor to do there. Little different problem in Tennessee, in that the provision that is not in a revenue bill, wasn't stuck in at the last minute. They did go through full regular order. There's no question about that. But the specific defects in the Tennessee legislation is the underlying, the Matthew Davenport law, the kid that did not die, adult kid. And tragic as though those deaths may be, in my opinion, It's about time we blew the whistle on this nonsense where if a family wants to make a claim, if they want to, then they can't retreat behind the advice of the Kratom Danger Awareness Group, who specifically tell their group of members that they solicit, do not share the autopsy and do not share the tox screen. Well, why wouldn't you?
Right.
There is, oh, well, they'll misuse it. No, independent forensic toxicologists are available. And if they release the information, and as is obvious in the Davenport case, that this kid had a toxic dose of Benadryl.
3 times a toxic dose of Benadryl.
Yeah.
Like, it was insane.
And to sit there and try to credibly say, oh, it's kratom, because kratom was detected in his bloodstream. This is ridiculous. Why didn't they blame coffee? Caffeine gets detected in your bloodstream. This is the kind of thing that we're headed down. And now, when I say blow the whistle, when a family wants to step forward into the public arena and they want to use the grief that they're experiencing because of the loss of a loved one, of course, no person that has any common sense is going to say, we feel for you, obviously. But when you step into that arena, you better be prepared to defend what you're saying. Right. And for Matthew Davenport's mother to say, oh, he died of kratom. And then I hear many of these mothers say, oh, well, it was, they're learning a little bit. They say, oh, this was before 7-OH came on the market. It was only natural leaf kratom products. Yep. Well, one of the things that we have done at the AKA is we have reported a lot of companies that were manufacturing their extract products using industrial grade solvents, highly concentrating the metrogenine itself, right? I mean, there's no way that any responsible review of a death like that would say that's kratom. That is a artificially chemically manipulated with an industrial solvent. That's why we, from day one in our KCPA, said that you have to use FDA-approved food-grade solvents because you can't boost the potency. You're just isolating the metrogenine, getting rid of some of the microbial contamination, some of the other alkaloids, and you're isolating it. That's it. And
I have a question. What do you say to the people that talk about how, because OPMS is like one of the biggest AKA, donors and all that stuff. And what do you say to those people that talked about how their previous extracts had like boosted levels?
Of what?
Of 7-OH or pseudoindoxyl or something. I just remember because people love to argue that.
So what I would say is, in every instance where we've received a report, and I'll give you an example. We received a report that was put out on YouTube that they took and tested an OPMS product and it tested positive for fentanyl. Okay. And the person that was making the report did a YouTube video of it. And what she did is she took a fentanyl test strip and dipped it into the OPMS product. That is not the way you don't use the test strip like that.
I know who you're talking about.
So carefully evaluate these things. We have received reports. We've asked the OPMS people, and not just OPMS, we've had it with many other products. When we receive a report about a formulation issue, we ask the company to evaluate, give a response, and to document, not just say it, document that they're compliant. And in every case where we've had that kind of experience, with the exception of one, not an OPMS product, a different product, we have found that the reports were inaccurate, that they were speculative, they were drawn on, somebody heard something on Reddit or they heard over here from their mom, and went on and on. So we are interested. We want to have only quality compliant products that are safe for human consumption. So that's my answer to them. If you have documented a case where a product is somehow adulterated, send it to us and we'll verify it. And now I should add that we also did independent testing. We didn't trust each of the reports, depending on the way the report was conveyed. If it was a matter of, it was simply resolved by providing the evidence. But if there was a question, and there have been, we send it to a lab independently. We have it evaluated. So that's our bottom line.
Aren't they also like the victims of copycat products? Like people will, yeah.
Yes, and MIT 45, that you had counterfeit products that were on the marketplace that were being done there. So the point, going back to the governor of Tennessee.
Okay.
And we've had this discussion with him. The first problem was the basis upon which this legislation was actually introduced and passed. Now, here's the problem. You cannot blame a legislature for making a mistake, right? There are some occasions where you could sue them, but it would have to be a very egregious mistake. In this case, they were misled. You cannot you cannot sue a legislature or blame them if they just make a mistake or they're dumb. And, some legislators are dumb and they're going to believe anything. And so I served in the legislature, by the way, and I sat with colleagues that occasionally I'd have to look over and say, well, I don't have to say it. John McCain said it best. When he was first elected to the Senate, he said that he went down in the well of the U.S. Senate after a long debate on a very important issue. And he said he looked around and he was alone, and he looked around at the historical significance of the Senate chamber. And he said to himself, how the hell did I ever get here? He said 6 months later, after a similar long drawn out debate, he said he sat there in a similar circumstance. How the hell did they get here? And that's part of the problem, right? Because there are people, however well-intentioned, just kind of get on this bandwagon. And this was the Davenport bandwagon led by a very nice legislator who's well-liked by her colleagues. And she just got misled. And once misled, she didn't care. Katie barred the door. I'm going to say it and say it again. I'm going to repeat it. I don't care.
Die on that hill. Yeah.
So that's what happened. So that's not a productive discussion with the governor. We can all have it. We all know the legislature made a mistake, and God love them, but they should be accountable for that. Where the mistake was made is that in the fiscal note that was produced that's associated with that bill, and they're required to assess the impact of the on the bill on the state. So from a monetary standpoint, the fiscal analyst who refused to correct it used the SAMHSA data on the prevalence of kratom consumption. Now, the SAMHSA review and survey is done on drug addicts in America. They do not survey the general population. They admit it, by the way. They say, well, we admit that our data is wrong. They actually admitted their data was wrong, that the fiscal note was based on, but we don't think it's as high as you say it is. That was sort of their response. Okay, so what we know is that based on their prevalence data of drug addicts, there are 38,000 people in Tennessee who are kratom consumers. That's their conclusion based on that bad data. What that drives then is, what is the fiscal impact? What's the loss of sales tax revenue in the state of Tennessee? Under their construct, it was going to be based on 38,000 people, based on the average cost of the kratom products annually, and then calculating what the sales tax rate is, which both for the state and importantly for the local governments, they came up with a total cost of sales tax revenue lost and expenditures, which are prosecutions and incarcerations for people caught with a kratom product if the ban goes in place. That number came out to $1.3 million, right? There was that's for the sales tax revenue, and then there was an additional 500,000, I think, for somewhere in that range for the incarceration, maybe a little less than that. The governor funded $1.2 million. Okay, so that's what the budgetary assessment is. What the governor now has in the staff has in their possession is the fact that a prevalence study that was conducted by Oliver Grunman and a few colleagues, where they surveyed the American consumer public of kratom, and they found that the prevalence was 9.1%, which drives a national level of just over 24 million people, and it drives a Tennessee kratom consuming population of 530 some thousand people, which then, using their numbers, we didn't do anything but apply the number of kratom consumers to the calculations that were done by the fiscal analyst on the impact on sales tax and the expenditures. And what they found was that the total cost of those two things is $20 million rather than 1.2 million. Now, I think that's a wake-up call for any governor that sits here and says, "Oh, I thought I was going to reward this very nice legislator because she's nice and she doesn't ask for a lot and she got her way." And you have this strong appeal of the Davenport family. And now the reality the harsh reality. But here's the hidden cost. In the fiscal analyst report, they did not account for what Dr. Joie clearly stated in his withdrawal letter in 2018, that if you withdraw kratom from the marketplace, there is a segment of the kratom population. Oh, I don't know. That's that 38,000 people that they identified that were drug seekers and drug addicts. If you are actually going to do that and evaluate it in that context, then the cost of treatment, increased treatment costs for people that no longer have access to kratom, that go to hard drugs in order to manage acute and chronic pain, is $1.1 billion.
Yeah.
Now, some of that will be offset by federal money, but not all of it. So the actual expenditure of the state is somewhere north of $500 million or more. So that's a different perspective, isn't it?
I would say a little bit, yeah.
And when we tried to explain that to the Senate sponsor, he wasn't interested in talking to us. His mind was made up, locked and loaded. He's one of these people that are saying, I'm just a champion for my consumer, and I don't care about the facts, and that's unfortunate. So
he didn't even care about his consumers. I mean, his constituents.
I mean, that's how it felt like the whole process. Not one of the. Well, there was. To be fair, there was a handful of people that listened. There was a handful of people. Yeah,
there were. You're absolutely right, Jen. And let me tell you something. It is critically important that we have our testimony there because it's on the record. It's not something that can be brushed aside and said, that's just the way it is. Nobody showed up. We didn't hear from anybody. That kind of thing. Our voices are important. They need to be heard. And I know we're going to talk about Nevada, but that was an important exercise, even though we lost, because the record is clear in terms of what's going on now. So now the governor has to make a choice in Tennessee as to whether he's going to foist upon the state this huge fiscal burden. And I mentioned earlier that it was important to distinguish between what the local government and the costs are and the state government. In Tennessee, if the legislature passes a law that takes away revenue from the localities, they have to reimburse them for it. The state has to reimburse them. So there is a local sales tax of which there will be a significant amount of money. It's about $5 million that will have to be reimbursed. So it's not just theoretical. This is where there's going to have to be a check cut to these local governments because they passed this Matthew Davenport bill.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even like the whole, the whole talk in the Senate, as far as like the Tennessee budget goes, they don't have a whole lot of room, if any, to move around with money here in Tennessee. I mean, even Tiffany here, she owns a small kratom store in Clarksville. She paid over $42,000 last year in sales tax to Tennessee, and that's just her little store. So I mean,
she's right, and this is the part that got ignored, and it was because of the fix was in kind of mentality there. We were viewed as nuisances, just part of the process that they had to, and it got so bad that they didn't want to listen to anybody anymore. I mean, they really shortcutted the process. And what was astounding to me is that I was fortunate enough to get selected to be the one to represent the kratom community. And as I'm sitting there before that committee, and you had the representative of the TBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and he came up. I grew up in Pittsburgh, and I don't mean to be crass, but there was
be crass.
It said he didn't know his ass from a hole in the ground.
I agree. I agree completely, 100%.
When he says, "Oh, kratom is intoxicating," I mean, I almost fell over. But that would have been proof that it's intoxicating because I had just taken kratom because my hip is killing me, and about 45 minutes.
Faces when you told them that was priceless. That was the ones on TikTok. Like I have over almost 20,000 views on just that video.
Yeah, you got a lot of views over there on TikTok, Mac.
Well, great. So and then for that individual, and here's the problem: he's got immense credibility. But with that credibility comes responsibility.
Yeah.
Got to be accurate. And when he said, we can't test for the difference between 7-OH and kratom, that is not true. And I tried to be respectful. I said, it's not true. I mean, you can test for it. And even in the more complicated fatality cases, there now is a protocol for even in where you have a process in your body when you die. There's a dispersion of, depending on where they draw the blood from, you may get a much higher level of kratom or metrogeny or 7-OH. But 7-OH washes away. It's very unstable, so they haven't been able to detect it. Well, now they have a panel that NMS Labs has developed where they can identify the 7-OH too in fatalities, which your body just reacts differently when you die, and how it disperses drugs, whatever's in your system. So all of that they need to listen to. I think the governor, his staff is listening. I've been told that the governor has been briefed on this. We now have a week where we're going to continue to have discussions with him, and this is the part of the education effort that sometimes is overlooked. We have to have these meetings, and you have the personal meetings. It happened in Delaware, where we had met multiple times with the sponsor of the KCPA, and yet you have people that think, oh, well, we had 5 speakers or we had 10 or 15 speakers, and that's what moved them. No, there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, so that you can get to whatever the right policy position is. And then the reaffirming testimonies of kratom consumers is vastly important. But I almost have to chuckle when I hear nonsense like as espoused by the BAE people that say, oh, we have to educate. And what? Who's educating? Is a consumer coming in and educating? Occasionally, yes. Most of the time, no. It's the work that's being done by lobbyists, the bad lobbyists that are in there with relationships with these members so they can get a meeting. The average consumer is very limited in terms. They can have, a call, they can have an email, and it's cumulatively always evaluated. But those behind the scenes discussions are critically important with the influencers in the legislature. So I think that the decision by the Kentucky governor hopefully will influence the Tennessee governor.
I sure hope so.
Because that's important. And the similar situation in Kansas, where you had a mistake that was made by the legislature in their kratom ban bill, where they only banned 7-OH. Right now, there's a reference to metrogeny in it, but it appears, and the governor's staff, when we first reached out to them, said, we've looked at the bill, it only talks about 7-OH. And our problem is whether your trace amounts of 7-OH are encompassed in the ban, right? So what the legislature did is they passed a trailer bill. And the trailer bill, which is described in Kansas as sort of a technical corrections bill, the legislature cleaning up stuff that they just missed. Routine, by the way. Now they passed the full ban in the cleanup bill. That bill just arrived on the governor's desk yesterday, and we've been in intense discussions with the governor's policy director and the deputy chief of staff. I think we're making headway to explain why the governor should allow the existing bill that she signed already to stay in, which obviously she has to, but then to veto the second one. The question is, will they override? In my understanding in Kansas is they're gone. The legislature's gone. They can't come back and override. So the governor has the opportunity to do the right thing. And the right thing in this case is for them to understand the fiscal impact of what they've done, because that was never discussed in the right places, and then to evaluate the policy issue and what are the impacts of a ban on kratom. And I think we've had some very good discussions. They've asked for a lot of information that we're going to spend the weekend delivering to them Monday morning on their desks that affirm the safety profile of kratom with peer-reviewed published articles. And so I think that this is really, really important for us to get in the hands of the governor and see if she'll help us there on it. And I'll pause to say one thing that I think is really important. We had a challenge over the last 3 years in speaking to legislators and legislators with kind of a mixed message. And I think that the threshold of consolidating and working together with the Global Kratom Coalition and the Botanics for Better Health and Wellness and the AKA has been a stronger partnership. We were able to assign states so that we don't have to have multiple lobbyists in all of these states. That effort paid off in Kentucky, no question. It's paying off in Iowa, and because we're not done there yet, but things are looking better. That one was headed to a straight ban. And we've got some Republicans there in partnership, some Democrats that are going to stop it. We hope, fingers crossed. More outreach to Iowa senators we need to do, but they're I think they go out of session about a week and a half, and so we've got a week. And we're in trouble here at risk. So we need.
I think that's what people don't understand is that, the people assume that the American Kratom Association takes care of all 50 states. But what y'all have done is y'all settled whatever beef you had, between the Better Health and Botanics and GKC, and y'all came together as one. And like you just said, everybody has an assignment. But
we work together. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
We're talking about it and how we can support. We're motivating advocates. One of my goals in life is to motivate Robin Graham to show up at a hearing and actually testify. I hope that she'll do that, since they're taking a lot of the information that we're distributing that's being then captured by their group and then reposting it. I hope it's in her wheelhouse at some point to show up and actually testify. She had 7 opportunities, I think, or at least 6 in Montana where she lives, and never did, even virtually. So did not even have to get off her butt. But that's another issue.
Let's talk about virtually, because whenever we attend these Zoom hearings, like in Nevada, I pay attention to who the participants are in there whenever it's allowed. I like to look through the participants. Now, at the Nevada hearing, we recruited a whole bunch of people behind the scenes. Once again, a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes, guys. And so the Zoom was at max capacity at 100 people. So everybody else the people that tried to get in after the fact, they weren't allowed to get in. But either way, we weren't allowed to testify, so.
Yeah, there was a lot of people and they only gave each side 30 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's interesting because I was in Delaware that morning testifying, and then I got on a plane. I got to Detroit and made the change, and we got delayed because of weather. So I missed my connection flight in Salt Lake City by 5 minutes. So I was stuck in Salt Lake, and I called the executive director of the Board of Pharmacy, and he very kindly elevated me so that I could testify early in the process. And I was grateful for that. But you're absolutely right. What happened was, arbitrarily, the chair decided that she was going to limit the discussion. And that is going to bite her in the rear end before it's done. Because one of the things they have to be able to say is that we listened. Now, they will now move to a regulatory proceeding where it's governed by statutory requirements. The work session was the first step. So now in Nevada, we're going to have the opportunity to hold a hearing, and it will be more difficult for them to try to limit the testimony, because now there obviously is going to be an 8-hour or 6-hour, whatever the number of hours, but it's only going to be on this, and it'll be a hearing on whether or not kratom should be scheduled. We're going to see the same cast of characters that showed up there, and you saw what happened. Their pharmacist, the staff pharmacist that made the presentation about why kratom. Oh, I'm sorry, she kept confusing 7-OH and kratom.
Yeah.
And by the time it was done, you talk about the poster child of someone who confuses the two substances and does not know the difference between them, willing to articulate them. That was her. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but that was awful.
And well, she attended that RX summit that Andrew Kolodny is a part of.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and she's not quite as bad, but darn close to the staff pharmacist at the Ohio Board of Pharmacy. I mean, you talk about two people that don't know what they're doing. And then you had and obviously they deemed that person an expert witness. And this tells you how biased it is. They allowed the medical examiner representative to get up there and give her long, extended, data-driven, so-called data-driven presentation. And what did they give us? A couple of minutes. Were we allowed to have an expert panel? We asked. No, you cannot. So that's going to be part of the evaluation of where we get to. If the Board of Pharmacy decides that they're going to recommend scheduling, it has to go to the legislature. And one of the arguments that we already have, and I'm sure we will have after the next exercise, is the unfairness of the process. Because we had experts that were willing, able, and capable of being there. And if they give them the same amount of time, it would, for fairness, then you could have a more balanced presentation with an informed Board of Pharmacy. But the chair, this was cooked in her mind. She was the chair through the last two of these exercises by the Board of Pharmacy in Nevada to try to ban kratom. And she's obviously in the camp of we're banning it no matter what you say. And you heard her say, oh, there are people that have said they have beneficial uses and that's fine. We're banning it.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to hold that opinion. It's another and an important difference to be able to demonstrate that it meets the criteria under the Nevada law in order to schedule something. And so my question is pretty basic. What do you know in the state of Nevada that the FDA doesn't know? What in the world, particularly with the biased FDA, that would want to ban kratom if they had any of the evidence and data, if it were credible, that was being presented at that hearing or at that work session in Nevada? So big challenge, and we're going to be able to meet it because the bottom line is that they have to be accountable for what they're doing. And we are going to be there armed with good data. And then when it gets to the legislature, which, by the way, passed a strengthened KCPA bill a year and a half ago and was vetoed by the governor. And so the question is, where are we going to be when we sit before that legislature? Because the governor doesn't get to veto a decision by the legislature as to whether or not they accept the recommendation of the Board of Pharmacy, assuming they send a recommendation for scheduling. So
okay, so the next step is, so when you said the next step would be the legislature, or are they going to hold? Okay, so it might be like Connecticut 2.0, where we were sitting on that live stream for like 8 hours that day, where 90% of the people testifying were positive comments.
Like 400 some people, I believe.
400, yeah.
now,
Is that what's going to happen in Nevada?
You're exaggerating. You don't know that. I mean, these people, the Department of Consumer Protection in the state of Connecticut heard from their constituents and they didn't care, right? And their answer, they gave a bunch of different explanations, but one of the explanations that they provided to me when I was talking to the guy, he said, well, we had to do what the legislature told us to do. I said, then why did you hold the public hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did you say up front, we are required to have this hearing, but we don't care what you're going to say? Why didn't you say that?
Why did you sneak it into a different bill to begin with?
Right.
Well, yeah. And by the way, that was because of the Department of Consumer Protection. They made the recommendation to the committee that evaluates dangerous substances. In the past, it's always been a rubber stamp. Nobody even asked a question because they rely upon these experts that populate the staff in the Department of Consumer Protection and in Connecticut. And so they just accept it. Nobody knew it was going on. They did it the Thursday night, it hit the actual enrollment and in terms of being produced on Friday morning. By Friday night, legislature was over. And
you know what? There's another connecting dot that I'm going through right now, because that lady that sat with Dr. I don't even like calling him doctor, Andrew Kolodny at the Florida Symposium, the Asian lady that was there, she runs a treatment center in Connecticut. Now she's banking on the people coming in that, can't get their kratom anymore.
Oh,
so
yeah.
there's a dot.
So you said the right word, banking, because
Yeah.
at the core of this, it's the money. And we know that this is kratom represents a threat in the industry that treats people with pain addiction issues. And what they are seeing in that community is a reduction in the number of opioid addicted individuals that become clients. And that's because of the changes, whether you agree with them or not. The federal policy on the dispensing of prescription pain relief medications has been severely limited. And what does that do? It limits the number of people that are, in fact, addicted to those substances. And so you have a reduced client population. And what do they want? They want to create a different environment that forces people off kratom, and then they get into...
they want you to slide onto Suboxone. That's
right.
what they want.
Of course they do.
And it's like, when the CDC did, because of Andrew Kolodny, whenever he did the whole reduction on the daily MMEs for chronic pain patients, that whether you were addicted or not, that took away the safe supply that you had. Because still to this day, I don't even know why I didn't die in my 11 years. But I'm like, wait a minute.
This position, you were told to
thank you.
voice, so you were protected. You got a free pass.
Somewhere like, I had some, maybe my mom, dad, brother had their angel wings on me. I don't know. But, I had a safe supply, and when that was cut, that's when illicit fentanyl bloomed.
Yeah.
And then now, because of what I did in my 11 years addiction of abusing and misusing my pills, now these chronic pain patients who were never addicted, suffer. Just like right now, we're seeing the same playbook.
Yeah.
We're seeing the same playbook for kratom and 7-OH.
So your personal experience was predicted directly by Dr. Zawa, where he said people that are currently being maintained on kratom to address acute and chronic pain issues are going to be forced onto more dangerous substances, and that will lead to the very thing that we're seeing now, an increase in the number of people that need treatment or overdose deaths. And the reality is, as Dr. Volko has said, we should absolutely be preserving kratom as a valuable harm reduction tool that's potentially going to save people's lives. If we can't listen to these people, and who in Nevada has put their crown on, other than Chair Park, and said, "Oh, I know more than they do. Don't bother me with studies or the facts. I know more than they do." And that's the unfortunate part of this. Now, maybe we'll see a repeat of what we saw in the past, where they will be overwhelmed with the evidence and data and the advocates who can speak directly to the impact that kratom has had on their lives. I think and hope that happens. I can tell you that we're going to be there, and what we went through a couple of years ago in Nevada with the Board of Pharmacy has gotten immensely better from a scientific evidence basis for kratom than it was then, and it further erodes any possibility that they would have a credible basis to move to full scheduling. So we're going to be there. We're going to be prepared to do it. We're going to be prepared for the ultimate outcome to be adjudicated by the legislature if necessary. But we're not going to take it for granted. We're just keep fighting as we go forward on this.
I do have two questions actually. One, I meant to ask you this when you were talking about Tennessee, but Gabrielle brought it up. If say the governor does, a miracle happens and he vetoes it, can't they still override it with a majority vote?
Well, sure. But what they'll have to explain to the governor at that point is, where are you getting the money?
Yeah.
Because they require, they call this, they stick a lot of bills behind the budget. If the governor put out his original budget, and anything that's not included in that goes behind the budget, and those bills die, right? Okay. So if the accurate fiscal note had been attached to it, not the $1.2 million, but the $20 million, and then adding on the treatment cost, if that had been added, the governor never, and I stress never, would have included it in his budget with his amendment, because he doesn't have the money. It's not like it's a policy choice to him. He doesn't have the money,
right,
to do this. And so the legislature, if they do override it, is going to have to explain where they're getting the money.
Maybe they can come up with the money.
Yeah, they could try. In their back, or Suboxone freaking prescribers donated to them.
Yeah, right.
The only way that they could find the money in a budget is to increase taxes, which they now cannot do because they'll be out of session shortly, or they find some way to offset existing expenses and transfer them to cover a ban on kratom. Now, from a policy perspective, are you going to take money from let's say some sort of a social service program
or education
in order to fund a ban on kratom?
Yeah. Listen, when we were watching that hearing before the Senate hearing, they were there. We had to sit through I don't know how long, like an hour or so, of them talking about charter schools.
When they had that charter schools implemented, I knew it was going to be a failure. I was right.
They were talking about Social Security numbers and charter schools and how the state of Tennessee doesn't have the budget for this and that and the third.
Right.
And
Right.
we're like, whoa, what? But y'all are wanting to ban kratom?
Yeah. And also, have you heard anything about Oklahoma at all?
So Oklahoma is not on our radar yet.
Okay.
We're watching it carefully in terms of being a serious policy issue. We know that the anti-kratom activist group is working hard here. The very, very biggest problem that we confront today is the 7-OH problem, because everybody conflates it. That is on the discussion from the expert side. You get pharmacists that are conflating it, you get medical examiners that are conflating it, and you get these people that are on the mental health services side conflating it. And it's the only way that we can fight this is with the truth. And what we don't need is what's happening right now as we speak. You see that the tactic has changed with the 7-OH manufacturers.
Yeah.
They're doing a couple of things. One is they're buying every nonprofit influencer. They're astroturfing the discussion. They're having groups that have no role in any public policy issue related to mental health or kratom or anything like that, suddenly jumping into the fray because the 7-OH people are buying them. And there's a couple of examples of that. You see the 7-OH community bombarding Fox News with ads that are deceiving because they say, thank you, President Trump, for protecting the 7-OH community. President Trump has done nothing of the kind. He was the one that sat in the Oval Office when he was signing his executive order on addiction recovery programs. And he had the commissioner of the FDA, Marty McCary, jump out and say, Mr. President, we are working effectively hard to get rid of these 7-OH products that are opioids. And the president said, good job.
Yep.
Good job. So how is that transferred to thank you, President Trump, other than they are misleading people?
Right.
The same way they misled people when they put their products on the market, the same way that they're now advocating, and this is a significant shift, and that is that they're saying we should only sell kratom products behind the counter in smoke shops.
Yeah.
That's where the customer population of the 7-OH products go. They are attacking the average kratom consumer that wants to have access without the stigma of going into an adult establishment with a smoke shop environment where it's only sold behind the counter. I'm not afraid of behind the counter, by the way, not in a locked case under lock and key.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to put alcohol in that category.
Well, what if you're with your child, say, I don't know, say I'm on vacation with my kids and the only place is a smoke shop. I can't bring my little, if they're 4-year-olds, I can't leave them out in the car.
You can't leave them out in the car.
Yeah,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, I can totally see that, and it is stigma. Like a granny don't want to go into a smoke shop. People think she's buying something crazy in there. So yeah,
But you hear the way it gets slipped in with Amanda Rayner on the 7-OH Gals podcast. You see the way it gets slipped in. She says, "Oh, we should get rid of it out of convenience stores and gas stations. We should only put it in smoke shops." And every ad that you see for 7-OH products today is that it's for a therapeutic benefit.
right.
There is a difference between the way you market a product, because marketing means that you are going to improperly influence a consumer if you are not accurately describing what your product is.
That kind of sounds like digital marketing.
Well, and they're marketing their products because of the therapeutic benefits. Big pain relief. Kratom manufacturers can't do that.
Nope.
Don't. And when they do, they get reported. 7-OH people are now, saying, "Oh, this is all for all of the benefits that come therapeutically." They're not allowed to do that. The second thing they're doing is they're finally moving away from the kratom marketing, because
Yes.
they're fire.
Slowly but
Now,
surely.
They're calling it something else entirely. And what they're trying to do, slick maneuver, is when there's a kratom ban in place, they're not kratom, right? And that's going to further confuse enforcement people. I get that, and we need to be able to go after them. The champion of this is Attorney General Paxton in Texas. He just filed another lawsuit.
Did he?
Yes, and it's fabulous. Now, I have some problems with it because it does send the wrong message about natural leaf kratom. But the specific lawsuit is against 7-OH manufacturers, and it names them, and it gives details, purchases, testing on it, and they're finding that most of these 7-OH products have high levels of pseudodoxil. So it's not just 7-OH. And then you look at these, the MG 15 and 16 products, which are all chemically manipulated, and how anyone can defend those products if you are presenting yourself as an advocate for consumers. So how the 7-OH gals can sit there and say, oh, we just don't want anything banned. We're not going to judge anyone when they say that. Well, do they think that people should have access to fentanyl?
Right. Are they advocating for heroin and cocaine?
Yeah.
I'm not.
No, because you've got the advocate for the 7-OH people that's on there with Amanda Rayner. She works for one of these companies that markets, and unbelievable. She says we should get rid of these products that are attractive to children. For goodness sake, look at the products that her employer sells. Now, what the hypocrisy? I don't know what else to say.
The thing of it is that platform, that podcast right there, don't even realize it, but they got astroturfed.
Yeah, of course. And
it was a plan all along.
Yeah, they met nice people. I saw Venus in Delaware. I said hello to her. She wasn't real friendly to me. I get that. I know they're upset with me, but you know what? It's about the truth. And if we can't confront the truth, then we're lost. And in this case, we're lost. But I'm going to deal with that in another way, because what can't be done, you can't allow them to continue this nonsense, but to deliberately, or even if unwittingly, mislead consumers about what the right policy should be. Because the bottom line is, we are in these messes in these multiple states because of 7-OH.
Absolutely.
There's not even a question about that. And the time has come that we simply call them out. And we say, we're not going to tolerate this. You can't masquerade as a kratom product anymore. You cannot say that you are not chemically manipulating these products in such a dangerous way that, in fact, you are creating a class of addicts and people that are put at risk for overdoses, because they are, as Commissioner McCary says, full-blown opioids. They're chemically manipulated. In the case of the MGM 15 and 16, they're wholly chemically made.
Yeah.
They don't need to plant genetics in line on that. So, and to hear this, in my opinion, the misrepresentations made by Michelle Ross, where she will stand up there and testify, and she'll make these points of kratom and 7-OH are the same. If you're going to ban one, ban them both. That's the new strategy on that.
Now their little following comments that to me on in my videos or my posts.
90% of kratom consumers, 90% know that 7-OH is a problem, but every now and then you get those people that are obviously 7-OH consumers, and you can tell them right away, because they'll say, well, 7-OH isn't the problem. This was happening before 7-OH. 7-OH is taking kratom down. Anybody that can't see that is high on 7-OH.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that is distressing is that when caught in an obvious contradiction in public policy, the likes of Michelle Ross will say, we're not doing that anymore. When confronted about whether or not they were selling sublingual strips and dissolvable tablets that sublingually affect and go right to the bloodstream, she goes, we're not selling those anymore. That's inaccurate. After she said it in California, I went out and bought them. I received them. I told you that I ordered them and had them sent to the American Kratom Association offices. They don't even care. And I got them. And they are on the market today. And yet when confronted, and this is important from a public policy perspective, when she's sitting in front of a group of legislators or public policy makers, and she said, and they say, what about this? She says, oh, we don't do that anymore. Give me a break. And when you read the Texas lawsuit, it will stun you in terms of the testing that was done on these 7-OH products. Even if you believe Vince Sanders, when he testified in Rhode Island and in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, he specifically said 28 milligrams should be the level of a serving size. That's what he said. when you look at the 7-OH products and the testing was done by the Texas Attorney General, you're seeing levels that are twice that. And kratom products are being sold in America today.
Can you send me that lawsuit later?
I will. Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go through that like fine tooth comb.
Good. So there's our challenge: is how do we properly address with accuracy the real serious problem that 7-OH presents to consumers, and if you are an advocate for the businesses in the 7-OH arena, that's different, and that's where some of these advocates get misled, and they're actually advocating for the right of a company to manufacture a product that violates existing federal law, which is very straightforward. You'll see this in the lawsuit. You have to have a reasonable basis for safety based on labeling, conditions of use. They don't have it, and they admit they don't have it, and they don't care. And so it's all about, well, it's, A, it helps people, they claim, and B, you should have the right to do whatever you want. And that's sort of their attitude about it. Now, the reckoning is going to come here very shortly, where the DEA is going to ban 7-OH. They're going to schedule it as Schedule 1. That's going to happen shortly. And and I've said this enough times that I worry about saying it, but real credible evidence this time that they're at the final stages and they're putting a bow on it right now. And we expect within the next week or two they will actually ban it. That will change.
Fireworks ready.
Yeah, that will change the conversation dramatically across the country.
Yeah,
because then people like Senator Mike McKell, who repeatedly and deliberately deceived his colleagues in the legislature because he somehow wrapped around this belief he's like a crusader and he doesn't care about facts. He only cares about what it takes to win the argument. And part of his argument was, oh, well, 7-OH is bad, but the kratom people are just making that to be the boogeyman. Kratom's really bad too. And what he has not answered is, what does he know? What does he know that Marty McCary at the FDA doesn't know? Because Marty McCary at the FDA says there's the difference between natural kratom leaf and 7-OH is night and day. But in the mind of Senator Mike McKell, in that mind, he says, oh, they're the same. And by the way, kratom's worse. That doesn't make any sense. And it absolutely doesn't.
Brought up a good, yeah. Are we worried about the Analog Act?
Well, yes, we're concerned about it because there are implications of it. But here's the good news. There is a two-pronged test that's required by the Analog Act for it to be considered as in the 7-OH debate. And they fail on both of those prongs. And so while it can be litigated, it's not likely to prevail because of the court, all of the case law that's been developed about what the analog does and does not do. So right now, we're confident that they fail to meet the two-pronged test that would allow them to conflate the two together under the Analog Act. But we're watching it, and obviously, creative lawyers can do anything they want, right? They can make any allegation that they want and try to sell it. But it comes down to the well-established case law and what the intent of the legislation was, and we think that we're in solid ground with respect to the way kratom.
Laura, she talking about Michelle.
Hey, I got some bad words too.
Well, I truly suspect that I'm off his Christmas card list. We'll see.
Who cares?
Yeah, well, it hurts me. It hurts me.
Oh no, Mac. Oh no, you're gonna shed a tear.
Sleep at night. Do we have dates for DC yet? Tiffany wants to know.
We are so close. We're waiting for confirmation on the room date, but I think the date's May 13th, and it's right in that range. But we don't know until they actually give us the room. And a lot of competition, but fingers crossed we're going to get that answer here in the next day or so.
Are you trying to get like the same room that the December 2023 congressional briefing happened in?
We can't do that, but we want it in the visitor center so that it's easy for Senate staffers to come equidistant to what the House members do. Staffers, a target audience is really the staffers that work in these offices on these issues. Okay. So trying to do. And there are two things that draw staffers to these meetings. One is that you have a issue that's in controversy that they really need to learn more about. The second is you offer them lunch. So we're trying to schedule it so that we have at least a lunch break that allows them to have a free lunch as part of their duties on the Hill.
Those sandwiches we had, and at the December one was pretty freaking good.
Yeah, once in a while we strike pay dirt on this. Stephanie does a fabulous job on organizing this. She's the executive director of the AKA, and we're going to hold her to a high standard. If the sandwiches were good, I'm going to tell her you better replicate it or do better.
Get some wraps. Do some wraps this time. Because those wraps that we had at the symposium were good too.
Yeah.
But I don't think, that was probably Dr. McCurdy stuff.
Yep.
Okay, you want to do a rapid fire recap?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so
go ahead.
So who did you talk about? Dang it, I can't even remember.
Delaware first.
Kentucky, Delaware. Okay.
The bad news is that the sponsor of the ban bill, which her bill died, she refiled using a rule. We're going to fight against that, but we're on track with an amended KCPA. Our sponsor, Representative Ross Levin, great person. She's agreed to look at the recommendations we made. So I think we're doing well there. In the state of Kentucky, we have an extension of the effective date until June of 2027. Lets us get through a whole legislative session to make our case. In Tennessee, we're hoping the governor will veto it based on the defects that are in the bill going forward. In Kansas, we're hoping for a veto on the second trailer bill that would expand the current ban from 7-0H onto all metrology. In Iowa, we're looking at a group of a coalition of all Democrats and 5 to 7 Republicans that say they're not going to vote for a ban bill unless it includes a regulatory framework for natural leaf kratom products and extract. So those are the hot issues. We got South Carolina, where I think we did pretty well in terms of advocates showing up, and so I think we're doing well there. In North Carolina, we're going to start that process again. In Rhode Island, we have a bill by Representative McGaugh that we're fighting hard against. I think we're going to win that battle because she's just punitive to the kratom industry and to the kratom consumers, and she sometimes mixes the two together and doesn't see the forest for the trees. We're pushing ahead in a bunch of other states, obviously. The Board of Pharmacy in Nevada, a very bad decision, expected. We're going to now go to the full public hearing where statutory requirements trigger in, and we're going to have a better chance to express our viewpoint on it. So we're going to work there. And here's the bottom line for everybody on all of these things. We're wearing everybody out because there are so many of both state and local bans that are being pushed. And I just encourage everyone to just pull up your bootstraps and let's keep fighting here. I know it's a hassle, but we need to do it. We need to be in the fight, and we can't let the others prevail because they get lucky and show up somewhere and we haven't covered ourselves. So that's the bottom line. And I'm glad to answer any specific questions, but that's sort of a recap of where we are.
Okay. Yeah, Laura said push Riverside, California, because you know what? We can't figure out, like, Riverside County has an amazing, ordinance, but Riverside City is trying to do their, I don't know. Before I paid attention to any of this legislation stuff, like how the steps, how the processes are, I always thought that the county ordinances were override city ordinances.
No. Well, we learned that San Diego City banned kratom back in 2014 or 15, and so it's the San Diego County proposed a ban to mirror what the city had done, and we beat it. And they agreed, that the city acted improperly. We've not been able to get the city to reconsider, even though that ban, really shouldn't be there. So each jurisdiction has their own authority. Some states it's a little different. I live in Virginia, and they have what they call Dillon rule state that only allows the localities to do what the state can't do or was unwilling to do. So anyway, it's a very important issue. We just need to fight. In Mississippi, you see local jurisdictions can ban it, even though the state has a KCPA. That's why one of the priorities that we're going to have with our newly introduced federal KCPA will be federal preemption, which says states cannot adopt, and any existing bans are wiped out based on this regulatory structure that we're proposing.
I love that. I freaking love that.
Makes it more difficult to pass, but it's a challenge we're willing to take because we need to protect access based on good science to consumers.
If you guys have questions, drop them now. Mac can be with us probably for like another 5-10 minutes. Is that right, Mac?
That's true.
Okay. So if you guys got questions, drop them in the chat. Light them up.
Light them up. I also put Governor Lee's info in the chat too. So if y'all want to go give him a ringy ding this weekend and tell him to look over that bill.
I called him last night, and every day I send him 3 emails of the same email. So I'm counting them.
So hopefully, but yeah, let him know that we're all eyes are on him. I hope.
Yeah.
I don't know about the second bill call.
Yep.
I saw someone.
Mac, are you able to see the chat too on your side, on your end?
Well, I'm watching. Keith has something up down. We absolutely need that. That's all I see. I see that.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. Thank you, Mac, Jen, and Misty. Oh, you spelled my name right too.
I agree with the last 2. Thank you.
Do you think North Carolina would be influenced by Tennessee?
South Carolina. I mean, their last one was pretty good.
Yeah, it was, and I believe we've been working so long in North Carolina. I think that there will be less influenced by Tennessee than they. But all of it, we have to face reality that when one does something, I'm gonna obviously be pushing the argument that follow what Kentucky did. They slip in, and that's the model. They slip it in, and nobody's watching. And here we have, and that happened in Connecticut. But here you have Governor Beshear, who did the right thing. And by the way, that took some courage because it's another fight he has with his legislature. He doesn't need new fights, but he did it, and he did the right thing, obviously.
Is there anything else going on in Georgia? I know Tiffany, she's the one that has the kratom shop in Clarksville, Tennessee. She was thinking about moving to Georgia, but I think is their session done for the year?
Session is done.
Okay.
2 things have happened. One is that Representative Rick Townsend, who is the anti-kratom advocate in the legislature, who does, and he disagrees with me in my opinion on this, but he is totally in the pocket of the trial attorneys. And the reason I know that, I can look at his campaign reports, but the reason I know that is that when I look him in the eye and say, "Are you willing to accept this amendment?" He goes, "Well, I have to get back to you on that." Well, who does he have to consult with? It's and I told him, I said, "I know you're going to go back and talk to the trial attorneys. I get it." And, "Oh, no, that's not me. That's not me." Well, of course it is. Now, we have the infamous picture of him testifying before the Senate Health Committee, and he got stumped by a question, and Matt Wetherington, a trial attorney, had to go up and whisper in his ear what the answer was, because Rick dumbass Townsend didn't know the answer. And because it was his bill, and he should have known the answer.
That's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. A trial attorney whispering in the rep's ear. So
Rick Townsend went to some of his fellow legislators and went to the Senate committee chair and said, "Well, they've beaten me again." Now, I don't like that characterization. What I like to believe is the truth beat him again.
Yeah.
Because he's doing everything he can in order to mislead people. Now, second thing that happened in Georgia, the Speaker of the House just announced that he was forming some blue ribbon commissions on a couple of issues, including kratom. And his concern is he wants to find out with stakeholders what the exposure of kids are to kratom in the state of Georgia. Some of this was driven by, unfortunately, by the episode up there in northern Georgia, where reportedly there were a group of middle school kids, 6 of them, that got sick from consuming kratom, right? And that was the report. And when the sheriff's office did an investigation, they were told by the school administrator that, and we have all this on record with emails going back and forth, that the emergency room doctors, not one, the emergency room doctors concluded that this was absolutely kratom. So when we asked the sheriff if he'd be willing to have the product that was consumed tested by the University of Florida, he agreed. And they sent it over to Dr. McCurdy's lab, and they came back. They tested for the normal panel of drugs that would have pulled out something that was bad. Then they ran a very large screen of over 100 tests. And what they found out was that they were candy dots, and the kids consumed them in too fast. And all of the symptoms that they exhibited when they showed up in the hospital were because of the consumption of candy dots too fast.
They overdosed on sugar.
I almost did that on Easter candy the other day.
It made them sick. And it was a couple of, I guess we can class some dumbasses too, emergency room doctors who all said conclusively this is kratom. On what basis? I don't know.
My daughter bought a box. I guess there's like watermelon dots or something that's new right now. I said, you better not eat that whole box because of what happened to them Georgia kids. You know what's so freaking weird? Or not weird. It's it's what they do. But when that whole story broke, it was on all the headlines,
Right.
Kids overdosed on kratom. But when the correct story came out, nobody went and revised their articles. It did. They didn't even say it.
Sensationalism sells.
So when the Speaker's Blue Ribbon Commission holds their hearings, I'm going to be there with my box of dots, and I'm going to warn them: do not consume these dots too fast because you will be labeled as a kratom consumer.
Yep, you'll wind up in the ER.
That's right, with a bunch of dumbass doctors who say this is kratom.
Just like the whole story with that Knoxville cop who stole the 7-0H. Nobody went and revised except one news station. They went and revised the story, telling the correct story. He didn't steal kratom. He stole 7-0H in uniform, on duty,
When you're addicted to 7-0H, that's the problem. That's the behaviors you expect. They are, in fact, consuming an opioid.
Yeah.
So the kind of behaviors that you see by people that struggle with those see with 7-0H. That's a fact. And
that councilman too. I forget what state it was. It's somewhere over there by you, Mac. Are you stuck again?
Oh, he is. I was about to ask him these two questions.
Freaking Wi-Fi, or like you said.
We're getting hacked again.
That's exactly right. You see, as soon as I start criticizing the 7-0H, then we get zapped. I mean, do I have the basis for a conspiracy or what?
Okay.
So Laura wants to know, do you think a possible Tennessee lawsuit would have a chance?
So it depends on the standing for the case. You can't sue a legislature for being dumb. But if they violated some procedure, it really is fact dependent. And so we're just going to have to see, but it's possible.
And the latest on Michigan. Thank you, Mac, for all you do.
Well, that's kind. Michigan is an interesting thing. The Speaker of the House, because
dumbass
Patty Wheeler in town, and obviously leading him around by the nose, and said, "Oh, this is a terrible product," and the Speaker says, "Oh, great." So he knows that we have a KCPA bill that was going through the committee structure. He calls our sponsor, who now amazingly has become the biggest critic of kratom in the universe, Representative Catlett. Really unfortunate, but he tells Catlett, "You're not doing that. We're going to have a ban bill." So Catlett becomes the sponsor of the ban bill, and so they invoke a little used rule that rarely is used, where the representatives have to be in their seats and they can't leave until the vote's taken. And so you had the Speaker up there using his power to keep people in their seats, with Patty Wheeler, who was glaring at them, overseeing the whole proceeding, sitting on the floor of the House of Representatives. You and I can't do that. Speaker had it right there. So here it is, this mother who claims that her son died of kratom, and she's glaring at all these legislators, and she's the she's the little PowerPoint in real life person.
That
And
happened in the same thing in Tennessee with that resolution last year, as a
yeah,
matter of fact.
of course. And she's now got a viewing down in Florida of her movie. She did it in Utah. So this is she can't sell, as I understand it, the documentary to Netflix, which she wanted to do. So now she's just going on a little tour around the country with these things. And that's fine. She's allowed to do that, but it's not a factual representation. One of the problems with documentaries is that they take so long to produce that by the time they're produced, if there's been intervening evidence and data, including something like an FDA dose finding study that might derail what you've said, it's not particularly accommodated there. So anyway, the Michigan situation is that the bill is now over in the Senate, and it's my understanding, based on discussions with various senators up there, that they're not big fans of the speaker himself. They think that the kind of tactic that he used in order to get that ban bill passed is something that is anti-democratic in the views of some senators who are really smart people, by the way, who think that, as opposed to the dumbasses that were in the House that put up with it. So you have smart senators who are saying, you know what, that's not the way we do business here, and we need to actually do it better. And they also have some issues that, and this is, by the way, very common, where between the houses. So you can have conflicts that exist between a Senate and a House. And this has become a flashpoint between the Michigan Senate and the Michigan House. One of those issues that's been elevated, perhaps far higher than it should be, but because of the tactics that were used. And so I think that the Michigan speaker is going to have a hard time getting through what he's doing in the way that he did it. And we're hopeful that rational people will prevail here.
Make a documentary on that.
Yeah,
Right.
So many of them around the country. Let's do the documentary with Mike McKell.
Yeah.
KSL Radio says you got to give credit to the Mayo Institute because they've done some really good research on kratom. They haven't spent one penny on kratom. And has he ever come?
Funny when they bring up Mayo.
And then he holds up his phone.
Oh, that was great.
Here's my documentation right here.
Yeah, I know the representative asked me about this, and that was funded by industry. And then at the end of the hearing, well, just so everybody knows, I just texted her. I've confirmed. My phone confirmed that it was funded by industry. That was a lie. No, it's a compounded lie, by the way. It's enough to say.
And because he says that, KDA goes around, because Dr. Jack Henningfield showed up in Nevada. And, because McKell says that, they go around parroting that same phrase that, he's funded by industry.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the 7-OH industry is astroturfing with every one that they can buy in this space. The KDA people are out there. Where are they getting their money? It's from I don't know, the trial lawyers. Mm-hmm. And I suspect now, based on what we're seeing, is from the very large addiction recovery centers that view kratom as a threat to their business. Mm-hmm. So, by the way, they are entitled. They're entitled to make their advocacy pitch, but they at least have to be credible and tell the truth. They can have a strong position. They can identify areas of disagreement, right? They can, and it's appropriate. But it's like I think it was Daniel Patrick Moynihan, U.S. Senate. He said, "You're entitled to your own opinion. You're not entitled to your own set of facts that you make up." That you make up.
Yeah.
And that's just unfortunate. And Laura Romney just said something that's very important. She said that McKell's really ticked off, and he is, because what the KDA won't acknowledge is he wanted a full ban, ban, and he didn't get that. And now we're going to be able to do next year what we will do in Tennessee, we'll do it in Utah, to educate these legislators about what the truth is. And outside of the compressed time frame in a legislative session, we're going to be working during the interim to give them more information. We have a booth and what's called a learning hub set up at the National Conference of State Legislatures, which is holding their annual meeting in Chicago this year. and we're going to be making a presentation to any legislator show up. And last year we packed them in. This is a hot issue. It's hotter now, and so we're going to be, I don't know, telling them the truth. And so that's an important part of this experience. Now, I can tell you that we had, I think, 80 people in our Learning Hub last year. Now, using the math, these are 80 legislators, using the math that equations that Robin Graham uses, that means that there were about 800,000 there. Because when she was asked by Dan Pitta, who's a nice fellow, believes in sort of this open view about whether 708 should be available, he asked her the specific question last week on their podcast and said, wasn't there 150,000 or 200,000 people at the rally in 2016 protesting kratom? And Robin Graham, who purports to be one of the big organizers of that event, do you know what her answer was? She said yes.
What?
There were 200, maybe a little short of that, 200 fabulous advocates that participated in that rally.
That's a lot of people, though.
Yeah. It wasn't 150 or 200,000 people. And so there's a math problem here.
Yeah, that's a big math problem.
But in order to gain credibility, my opinion on this, she had to say that. She can't stay with the facts and the truth. Say, no, Dan, actually there were 150 or 100, almost 200, and they made a huge impact. We got tremendous press out of that. It really highlighted, and then to go visit people up on the Hill, that was a fabulous event, but it discredits it.
Yeah.
When you say to someone who asked a legitimate question, wasn't it true that we had 150, 200,000 people? And why did Robin Graham say that? Because her narrative is, we don't have enough advocates anymore. No one's coming out, and so we need more.
Well, I would like to say, Christopher, I'm so sorry. I can't ever say your last name good, but he's saying advocates are showing up state to state, new faces we haven't seen before. I can't tell you how many people I've connected with this year in Tennessee. Amazing people. I mean, it's great. I'm so glad I got to meet so many more people. And I know that y'all are going to help me next year by going and educating these legislators before.
See, that's what we do as advocates. Just by us getting on social media and telling our stories or having people stay up to date about what's happening in these hearings, which is why, we post that up,
Yeah.
But our hope is to inspire somebody else
and
connect people, because you can't make somebody advocate, right? But what you can do is have them see what they might be in for if they want to just randomly show up at a hearing one day, which happened in Anderson, California. Someone follows me on TikTok, and her and her husband went to California,
Yeah. And it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we are advocating. People are showing up.
So to buttress that point, in 2019, I'm sitting in the hearing in Utah, which was the first state that passed the KCPA, and they had a hearing, and in walks this woman who starts to describe that she had this very rare condition, trigeminal fibromyalgia, if I got it right anyway, that really was, paralyzed her face, and how kratom saved her. And she gave this eloquent and powerful and moving testimony. And it was Laura Romney. First time I'd seen her. I met her, and you talk about someone who is a fabulous advocate.
Yes.
I don't remember where I met the two of you, and you'll have to tell me if you know.
I don't know. I mean, I met you on social media. That's all I know. And then you came out to Colorado.
Yeah, but along the way, I've seen people that get added to this group, this community, and the last thing we should be doing is criticizing them. And that's why I will admit that it ticked me off to hear Robin Graham criticize the community, say, you need to get off your butts and then they tried to cover it. Well, all of them the next week were saying, well, what Robin really meant to say. No, what she said was what she said, and now they try to cover it and say, well, she really intended this. Now, these are, this is my opinion, very nice people. They're just well intentioned. I think they've lost their way in this particular case, and they're entitled to their opinions, but as Daniel Patrick Moynihan said, not their own facts. And so we need to be grounded in the science, and we need to be grounded in the consumer experience that people have had that where kratom has improved the quality of their life, and let policymakers evaluate that and balance it against the occasional, as the FDA and NIDA say, the rare occasions where a kratom death occurs. But it's when it does occur, it's because of polydrug use or adulterated products. And there's always an underlying health condition factor that might have resulted in the death of someone that had nothing to do with kratom. But
like in my almost 7 years of advocacy, yeah, you're entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to wear that kratom advocate hat, especially now if you are propping up and poisoning 7-OH users on your platform. That's a spit into our kratom advocates' face.
Yeah.
Faces.
It truly is. And I hope that we can let there be an epiphany with some of these 7-OH people that are misled into this narrative that says, oh, well, let's let everybody do what they want to do. And I take it at face value when someone says, look, I don't use 7-OH personally. I'm very well maintained on kratom, and I think Madeline Sklar is in that category, at least claims to be. That's fine. But then to say, but I'm not going to tell other people what they can't do. Well, when you don't tell other people what they can't do and it impacts access to natural kratom leaf products, then you have crossed the line. Because when there's not a scientific justification for a chemically manipulated, full-blown opioid to be on the market, and then you fall in line with the Pied Piper of this misinformation, which is, in my opinion, Miss Ross, where she peddles this nonsense, then we're over the line. And so when you impact the ability of a natural kratom leaf product consumer like me and the millions of others, because you're trying to protect somehow the God-given right to go out there and violate federal law, which they've done, I don't buy that.
When you let people have a platform to, voice their experiences, and you're not, that's advocating. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's advocating for something when you're coming together, you're giving someone a platform and you're letting them, influence other people. That's advocating.
When they could so easily go create their own platforms, but you are a kratom advocate and you're allowing that on your platform. That's just wrong.
Right.
It's why I can say this now. It's why we've had to attend up to 300 hearings.
Yeah.
It just confuses people even more.
Thing that's wrong. I'm 10 minutes over. I have a grandson that's waiting. I promise to
go have fun.
I got to run. But thank you. Thank you for what you do. And thank you for continuing to be very, very strong voices in this community and rallying people, because without it, we would be nowhere. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mac.
Bye, Mac. Have a great Saturday.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
No, I don't think it does. I read the I think it's just like ibogaine. I know it doesn't cover mushrooms or anything, but it's like psychedelics. I didn't see anything about that.
So that brings me back to Esther Helton Haynes and being on that ibogaine bill.
Right, I thought that was my first thought. It was like, okay, she signed or sponsored that bill, and now all of a sudden Trump signs this executive order.
Right. And like I said, we saw this in Texas last year when they tried to go after kratom in Texas because of 7-OH. After that, the governor of Texas signed a $50 million ibogaine research bill.
Yep.
Huh. My spidey senses are up.
It started echoing just for a second, and I did some kind of thing, and it stopped echoing.
Well,
So
I mean,
hopefully
we always clip this up after we're done here, so hopefully the echo doesn't happen, or when we rewatch it.
well, thanks everybody for coming. Like, we appreciate y'all too. I appreciate everybody asking, because a lot of questions I totally forget until y'all come in and ask them.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
totally will forget. So
there's hope in Kentucky. There's still hope in Tennessee. What was the other one? Kansas. There's hope in Kansas.
yeah.
So
Somebody texted me this morning, or while we were live, and said somebody had commented saying that the governor already signed in Tennessee, and I'm like, we're on Live with Mac right now, so.
dude, someone's trying to argue with me in my TikTok comments about that. I said, no, the bill passed. He's got 10 days to sign it.
You know how people make up stuff.
I know.
And Laura, you are a badass advocate, sister.
Yeah, you are. Oh wait, you're a bad booty advocate.
Yeah, sorry. Bad booty. Yeah, to Kentucky, I swear to you, when he first started talking about Kentucky, that made me so happy.
Yes. And then he got hacked. No, I don't know.
And then we got hacked by the 708ers. They got those like anonymous masks or whatever they are on.
Yeah. No, then he froze up on screen. Then he had to go back out and come back in. But yeah, that right there, that's what Kentucky's doing is what Tennessee should have done.
Yeah, exactly. But
so I don't know, Tiffany, and Dee and Kayla and Steven, I don't know if the other Tennessee advocates are in here, but there's still a little hope going on. So right now we're living on a prayer.
Kayla. Sorry, Kayla. I don't know why I just called you Carla. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I had people tell me kratom was banned today, the day Connecticut did. They read a damn headline and argue. Yeah. You know what? A lot of people ain't even worth the breath. It ain't even worth my fingertips to freaking type. I'm so done at typing. Like, Laura and Jen and I and other advocates, we'll call each other like 5-6 times a day, because we're just tired of typing. Man, we already have to deal with it on our social media.
I think it'll come out right after. God, I don't know. I'm like so mentally exhausted from Tennessee. Like because it's just been such a shocker. Well, it's been a shocker, but it's like, at the same time, like my sister-in-law was asking my husband last night how I was taking it. And he's like, she kind of saw the writing on the wall, which is, I guess, is good. I was able to prepare for it. But at the same time, like, it's just so sad to see lawmakers not care. Like, that's what I think is just bothering me the most.
Yeah, because it really opened your eyes to other happenings that's going on in Tennessee,
It's like a freaking movie. It's like a conspiracy theory movie, dude, in real life. Like, people, if they heard me talk about the whole thing, they think I was crazy, but it's real life. Y'all know. Y'all been with me the whole time. Y'all can back me up. Oh.
And that's one thing that kratom advocates do. They show up for other advocates for their states.
Yes, we back each other up every chance we get, because that's what we do.
We're all in this together, you guys. We're making history, fighting these bans popping up like wildfire. Yeah. Because we consume kratom, we have to stay hydrated. So we're pissing. We're pissing on all these wildfires and putting them out.
I did read your comment earlier about you messaging the president, McCary, and everything. I say it can't hurt to try.
Yeah, won't hurt to try.
I've been messaging Governor Lee at least once a day, and I've been putting in my comments day 2.
Mm-hmm.
Try.
Like today will be day 3 of sending emails from me to him. So,
but yeah, I mean, there is still a little flitter of hope. So.
Yeah.
I always feel better when I talk to Mac about stuff.
Oh, I know. It's like, it just blows my mind that people that want to talk trash on him, like, do you really even know Mac? Like,
Yeah.
Like I said,
He's
I
like
don't remember.
dad. Like, he is seriously like the community's dad.
Yeah. Yeah. I really don't remember because I started advocate. Okay. I found Kratom in June of 2019. I didn't know that there was a Kratom community at all on Facebook. My daughters were like, Mom, you should try to go find it. And so about 2 months after I found Kratom was when, I'm trying to remember now. Maybe about a month after I found Kratom, I started looking for support groups on Facebook. And then I kind of stayed in the background, and I was just enthralled with all the comments, all the posts, all the research,
Yeah.
And so then I had created my own Facebook group about in August of 2019. And then I don't remember the intersection of Mac and the AKA finding me via my public social media posts that I would put on, because after 2 months of me finding Kratom, I was like, you know what? I'm going to shout this from the rooftops. The world needs to know what I went through, what I'm going through, and what I am today.
Right.
That's why I keep telling you guys, post on social media. Use your social media platforms as your gateway, to your testimony. Get it out there to the world, because you never know when someone will accidentally see your post or your videos. That's happened multiple times with us over there on TikTok.
Yeah, it's like on TikTok, you always like, dude, I don't know what it is. Like, their algorithm makes it where you just find like your people. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yep.
Yeah, Tiffany, I hate that because, like, especially if you just started feeling at home in Tennessee, like I'm just like devastated because, like, this is my land of my forefathers, man.
Yeah.
It's just, I wish that there was a way to just clean the house and get new people in.
Yeah, Alicia, I agree with you. That's especially KDA's game plan, but I don't know what they must have been high or drunk or something, thinking that they were going to come up out here and publicly talk about their adult kids' deaths and not get any pushback or resistance. Like, you freaking
That's rule
what?
number one in Fight Club.
Yeah. I should watch that movie. I freaking love that movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while. Do you know I never realized it was supposed to be the same guy?
I did not either.
Okay.
I did not either. That was one of those turns. Like, what?
I was like, are you serious?
I'm still struggling figuring out the new stuff on TikTok, but had stuff on Facebook. It's real easy. I mean, it's real easy to learn TikTok, honestly. I started over there it was like the fall or winter of 2020. Then I got my my haters got my account banned. At that time, it wasn't KDA haters. It was Suboxone pushers. How dare she get up here and tell her story? How dare she survive without my medication? And then, so I'm on my third TikTok account because, my haters freaking love me. And like I keep saying, I'm not a lesbian. So, and I definitely don't want you as a man. If you're,
Keith, you be killing me.
What Keith say? Yeah, exactly. Adult. And that's the common theme too. Is just men.
Yeah. Oh, dude, Jordan, man, that dude is such an empath.
Yes.
I think he has literally felt all of us in Tennessee. Like, he has felt our energy. Like, It has destroyed him. Like, I know that he feels it. Like, he's a real big empath. And I love him. Yeah. He works hard.
He truly does. And he works hard at differentiating between chemical and natural.
All the time. Gets hate all the time. Am I echoing to anyone?
No, you briefly were, but.
What the hell? Am I echoing?
My neighbor's friend just tried Kratom yesterday. She says it's a miracle. Oh, my neighbor tells the world about Kratom. I love that. I freaking love that. So let me tell y'all a story. So yesterday, my daughter works with, I don't know if it was like her daughter's colleague, her daughter's coworkers, somebody in their family or a friend or something like that. Anyway, this lady is on the verge of committing suicide. On the verge. She's got like something with the back of her neck, like some kind of bone or something is sticking out or something in the back of her neck, and she just can't deal with the pain. She can't deal with, and I said, Ariana, I said, Kratom, tell her right now. Tell your friend right now, Kratom. She said, will you talk to the lady? I said, yes, I'll talk to the lady. Yeah. Anybody should try kratom before they're on the verge of committing suicide.
Absolutely agree.
Whether you're suffering through addiction, chronic pain, mental health, try kratom before suicide. I should put that on a shirt.
Yeah. And Keith, yeah, he man, I guarantee you he's broke down a couple times. I think his wife is kind of like trying to like make him walk away sometimes to take a break. I would if it was like mine. Like, you know, it's just, it's hard. It's hard when you are connected with people and you see them struggling and you see them sad and you want to, and you are fighting for them, but there's nothing else you can do. I mean, just like, it's just hard.
Because they're trying to wear us out, you know, the 708ers and the freaking KDA, you know, and the government, they're purposely trying to wear us out, but we got to know how to know when to take an advocacy break.
Yeah.
What tells me to take an advocacy break is when I start snapping on people.
Yeah.
Like the bit, you know, I go by the T-bish, you know, then it turns into the T-bitch. And when I go on bitch mode, then I take a break. I'm like, okay. Yeah. They don't need to see that side of me.
You know what, Tiffany, right there with you. Well, I was a few months away from being 18 when I moved out on my own. So I can't imagine still calling someone. Well, I mean, I don't know. My oldest is about to turn 26. He's still a kid, but he's an adult. Like, I'm completely aware he's a man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't imagine just riding this. My kid died until he's, you know, kid's 40. I mean, come on, dude. At what point are you going to stop calling him a kid? Like, I can recognize my kids are grown men.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I bet you have. I know, Deborah.
Yeah, I think our spouses, I know my husband, I know he's he entertains me, you know, but he's probably deep down like, is this all she's going to talk about? He jokes with me all the time.
My kids too.
I go do 708. I'm like, I will divorce you.
You know, and what you guys are seeing on screen, Jen and I will be on the same screen, but not live. This is our therapy to vent and get shit off our chest so that we don't take it to our family members.
Yeah. And we were going to say too, like, if anybody ever wants to join us live, like, and just talk about it. I know Jordan, we're trying to get him, like, our schedules aligned. But yeah, anybody's welcome to come on and talk, and we can do a live.
You don't have to have your camera on, you know, just come up here and vent.
Because I know it'd be getting really tough sometimes.
Come up here and tell your story.
Potato.
I squished my brain. I know Max said trigeminal fibromyalgia, but it's trigeminal neuralgia. Because of Laura, I know what trigeminal. Actually, some other people that follow me on TikTok too have it as well. But before I started advocating on TikTok, I didn't even know what that was a thing.
No. Yeah, mini breaks are like a must.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's just like a day or two, like, you got to walk away from it.
Like that, you know, my haters shutting down my Facebook last year, and then my freaking Instagram got shut down.
That, like, I feel like they did you a favor.
Oh yeah, because I go advocate harder on other platforms. So you think you silencing me? No, you just making me get louder.
Yeah, Jordan flew from California. Misty flew from Colorado. We had Heidi come from like Wisconsin. I don't even know. I guess Dr. Henningfield's from up north. I mean, but you know, Misty and Jordan Just they came to advocate, you know,
Yeah.
because that's what we do. Like they had like never mind. They did have that virtual hearing that one time in Colorado.
Kathleen, I would love to participate. I'm one step above computer illiterate. I've had all this I had to learn along the way. You know, I didn't get on social media until 2018. I was still in my active addiction at the time. You know, I found kratom in June of 2019. So I've had to learn all this stuff along the way.
Oh, I forgot about your squishy brain.
Oh, yeah. I should get one of those too.
We all need a squishy brain.
Yeah.
Dude, it's really not too hard. And, you know, me and Misty are still learning a lot. Like, we're just now learning, like, the whole opus clip thing. Like,
Yep.
we're learning that together. So, I mean, you know, it's learning process. Yeah, I do. I appreciate every single person that came out, came in. I don't know. I hate that it happened the way it did. I feel like they did that on purpose, though, at the last minute because they knew people flew in.
Okay. Good night. Love you. My daughter got home from work. You know, oh, that's another thing I want to touch on. So this group of people are upset that we go live at the same time that they go live, right? Well, that group of people fails to forget that when we were a part of that group of people, we all agreed on this Saturday live stream. Right. Because of our home schedules. You know, so for us to go live like today or any Saturday, it's because our home schedules allow us to.
Yeah, I've got a kid in school. Well, plus we advocate all week going to hearings and stuff,
Yeah.
you know, and then I got a kiddo in school. I got homework to do every night, you know, I mean, or help with. I mean, so Saturday and then Sunday, you know, sometimes we go to my in-laws for Sunday dinner, you know, so Saturday's the only day I got to just kind of chill.
My daughters work Tuesday through Saturday. You know, and I try to take Sundays and Mondays off unless I have to advocate at a hearing on Mondays. But other than that, no, we're not being petty. This is what we agreed to years ago when we were of service to you.
My thing is like, you know, the more the merrier. The more people that want to do something, I see nothing wrong. Like, why would that offend? If somebody started a thing and they did the same exact time as me, go for it. I mean, if that's the only.
If you ain't going to rearrange your schedule to testify at any hearings, we aren't going to rearrange our schedule to appease you.
Right. Yeah, the sheer stupidity from the anti-kratom crowd and then the way that they spread it is a real threat. And then also you've got that and then like the media headlines that call 7-OH kratom constantly, only like that's like gas on it. Like 7-OH is KDA's best friend.
Yep.
Period.
My daughter just brought me this little thing called Dose Your Liver. It's got milk thistle, turmeric, and it's milk thistle and turmeric.
Dude, I've got a milk thistle, turmeric, and that, man, I can't remember what it's called. It's a bee Burbidine or something like that I take. It's supposed to be like nature's Ozempic or something.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw something on TikTok about that. TikTok is amazing. If you guys want natural health stuff to learn about, TikTok is amazing.
Yeah, they got all kinds of stuff. Or, you know, even like the little, dude, even food, like you can find, I can't tell you how many times I've been like, added it to my recipe and I'm like, I'm going to do that one day. You know,
like my daughters, they're in their cooking for mom phase pretty much. I pretty much every once in a while I'll cook dinner for them, but it's mainly them because they get all these recipe ideas from TikTok, and I freaking love it. You know, talk about somebody who I ruined my kids' childhood and my active addiction. You know, and what kratom has allowed me to do is become a mother. And every single day, I don't disappoint my kids. So they're seeing, they saw me blossom. And because they saw me blossom, I'm seeing them blossom. And that's what I'm addicted to. I am not addicted to kratom itself. I'm addicted to advocating for it.
Okay, I am too.
But the other thing is, seeing them recognize me of not going backwards, and I know if I would have had 7OH in 2019, I would have went backwards. My kids probably would have been some strippers by now. My son probably would have been in a gang, probably would have had 1 or 2 murders under his belt. I don't know.
Your girls take care of you though. I love that.
And I got a grandbaby, Life is great. Life is grand. Life is grand because of kratom.
I haven't dabbled in lemonade that much.
I only downloaded lemonade whenever TikTok was a threat of being erased
I
from
need to
America.
Look at it real quick. I'm gonna have to pee real quick.
You know what? I got to too, so we might as well end the live.
Yeah, all right. We gotta go take a pee break. All right.
We'll see y'all next Saturday or during the week.